you're listening to Bold, Brown and British, a weekly podcast where we discuss what it means to be a brown person in a Western world. We've spoken about colorism, third culture identity and dating amongst many others on this podcast. So if this sounds like the type of content that you want to hear, please subscribe to us on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also message us on Instagram. The handle is @boldbrownandbritish or drop us an email via our website at www.boldbrownbritish.com. So without further ado, let's get on with this week's episode. Hello and welcome to Bold, Brown British, the podcast where we talk about life as a brown person in modern British society. I'm your host Karina, and today we're diving into a topic that's as inevitable as taxes, but a lot less fun. Death and dealing with grief. Yes, we're going to be talking about the big D, and no, I don't mean divorce or dating disasters, though those can feel pretty deadly too. Now, if you're thinking, Karina, couldn't we have talked about something lighter, like the weather? I hear you, I get it, but here's the thing. Death and grief are universal experiences. They don't discriminate based on race, religion, the number of times you spilled curry on your white shirt. So, grab your chai, settle in, and let's have a chat about how we, as brown folks, can navigate this heavy topic in our own unique way. I'm hoping that we'll find some moments to laugh along the way, because if we didn't, we'd just cry, and no one wants to ruin the eyeliner this early on in this episode. Firstly, let's start with the cultural context. In many brown communities, death is not just an end, it's a significant event steeped in tradition and ritual. Whether you're Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, or follow any other faith, you'll find that there are specific ways that we're expected to handle the departure of a loved one. For instance, in Hinduism, there's a concept called antim sanskar, the last rites. These rites can be quite elaborate, involving everything from chanting prayers to bathing the body to lighting the funeral pyre. It's a deeply spiritual process meant to help find the soul its way back to the afterlife. Muslims have their own set of rituals, often involving a swift burial within 24 hours if possible. This includes washing the body, wrapping it in a simple white shroud, and offering prayers known as the janazah. The focus here is on simplicity and humility in death, reflecting the idea that we all return to the earth from which we came. In Sikhism, there's the belief in reincarnation and the soul's journey to merge with the divine. Funerals are often mixed with solemnity and celebration, with the community gathering to sing hymns and reflect on the life of the departed. And let's not forget the more modern, less religious approaches that some of us might take, like planning a celebration of life instead of a traditional funeral. These can involve anything from a slideshow of embarrassing childhood photos to a playlist of the deceased's favourite musical hits. Now, let's get personal. I remember the first time I dealt with death. It was when my grandfather had passed away. He was a remarkable man, full of wisdom, passion for cricket that could rival any die-hard fan. Our relationship was filled with love and the occasional battle over the television remote. You see, my Nanapai and I had a long-standing feud. I wanted to watch cartoons, specifically anything with bright colours and catchy theme tunes. He, on the other hand, was devoted to cricket. Every test match, every ODI, every single ball bowled was a source of endless fascination for him, and naturally, this led to some memorable clashes. I remember one instance vividly. It was a Saturday morning and my favourite cartoon was on. I had just secured the remote and was comfortably nestled on the sofa, lost in the animated world. Just as I was getting to the good part, my Nana walked in, looked at the TV and then with a twinkle in his eye said, "Nana, it's time for cricket now." What ensued was a fierce but playful tug-of-war. He changed the channel to the cricket match. I'd wait for him to get indoors and we'd switch it back to my cartoon. This back and forth would continue until one of us succeeded. Usually him, because how could he argue with my excited commentary on everything and the world of cartoons? When he passed away, the house felt strangely silent. The TV was mostly off, and the cricket matches played on in my head as if the echoes of our times together. I realized how much those little battles over the remote had meant. There were more than just disagreements over what to watch. They were moments of connection, filled with laughter and love. And that's the thing about grief in our communities. It's never really just about sorrow. It's a mix of emotions. A roller coaster can take you from sobbing to laughing within minutes. And that's okay, because it's all part of the healing process. I also think about the first time I had to attend a funeral as an adult. My friend's father had passed away and I was nervous about going. I didn't know what to say, I didn't know what I was going to do. Should I bring flowers, offer a hug, make some food? Because let's be honest, food is always my love language. When I got there, I realized that being present was just enough. I didn't need to have the right words or the gestures. Sometimes just showing up and sitting quietly is the best support you can offer. It's a silent way of saying, I'm here and I care. Let's talk about dealing with grief next. Grief is a complex beast. It doesn't follow a timeline or, unfortunately, a set of rules. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes shows up when you least expect it, like during a random episode of Bake Off when someone's cake reminds you of a family recipe. One of the hardest parts of grief is dealing with the emotional aftermath. The sadness, the anger, the guilt. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to managing these feelings, but here are a few things that might help. Talk about it. Whether with family, with friends, or a therapist, talking about your grief can be really, really healing. It can help get those emotions out in the open instead of just bottling them up. Rituals and remembrance. Engaging in rituals, whether traditional or personal, can provide comfort. Lighting a candle, saying a prayer, or even setting aside time to just reflect on your loved one can really create a sense of connection and continuity. Thirdly, take care of yourself. I think people forget that grief can be physically and emotionally exhausting. Make sure to take care of your health. Eat well, get some rest, and don't be afraid to take a break when you need it. Also, that leads on to number 4, seek support, because there's no shame in seeking professional help. Grief counseling or support groups can offer a safe space to express your feelings and find solace in the company of others who understand what you're going through. And whilst it might seem counterintuitive, finding moments of joy and laughter is really, really crucial. Watch a funny movie, reminisce about the good times, and allow yourself to smile without guilt. Your loved one wouldn't want you to be miserable forever, and it's okay to have a laugh every now and again. As brown Brits, I think we often navigate the intersection of cultural expectations and personal grief. Our communities can be incredibly supporting, but they can also be a bit overwhelming with their advice and their opinions. Auntie G might insist you follow certain rituals to the letter, while Uncle G might have strong opinions about how long you should mourn. And let's not forget the never-ending stream of food, because apparently eating a body weight in samosas is the ultimate remedy for a broken heart. Because they've died, we too should have death by diabetes. It's important to remember that while traditions can offer structure and comfort, your grief journey is your own. You don't have to follow every custom or meet every expectations. It's okay to say no, to set boundaries, and to grieve in your own way. Moving forward after a loss doesn't mean forgetting your loved one. It means finding a new way to carry them with you. It can be through small daily rituals like making their favorite dish or listening to their favorite music. It can be through larger gestures like starting a charity in their name or pursuing a dream they had for you or a dream they had for themselves. Remember, it's okay to move forward. It doesn't mean that you're leaving them behind. It means you're honoring their memory but continuing to live your life fully and joyfully. So that's it for today's episode. We've talked about the cultural context of death, we've shared some personal stories, or rather I have, and explored ways to deal with the grief. I hope this conversation has been as healing for you as it has been for me. Grief is a part of life, but it doesn't have to define it. It's a journey, one that we navigate with the love and support of our communities, and sometimes with a little bit of humour. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Bold Brown British. If you have any thoughts, stories, or tips on dealing with grief, please share them with us. You can reach out on our social media channels at Bold Brown British or drop us an email. Let's continue this conversation and support each other through the ups and downs of life. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and remember, even in the darkest times, there's always room for a little bit of light and laughter. Oh, Mikey, you made it till the end. I'm so happy. Well, listen, if you enjoyed what you heard and you want to hear more, subscribe to the podcast on well, wherever you are listening to this. We are on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, TuneIn, Alexa, you name it, we're there. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on an episode. We also are on Instagram, which houses loads of behind the scenes audio snippets, polls, memes, and ways for you to get involved. So go follow us on Bold, Brown, and British. That's the handle. And until next time, keep safe, my wonderful samosas.